Welcome to The Current Buzz, the podcast where we break down what's happening now at Oklahoma Electric Cooperative and OEC Fiber and why it matters to you.
Each episode, we're bringing you practical insights, behind-the-scenes conversations, and real-world answers to the questions our members and subscribers are asking. Thanks for tuning in. Let's jump into today's conversation.
Hello and welcome to The Current Buzz, episode 60. Today we're going to talk with Clint Mobley and Bobby Herring about outage restoration and major events and kind of what we do in preparation for that. But first, we're going to start with our top three things.
The top three things you need to know. So first, our Operation Roundup board met in February, and they approved over $49,000 to be given to local organizations and families for everything from an adjustable bed for a handicapped individual to community service organizations. So it's a great cause. We love it. It's one of our favorites. If you know anyone in your neighborhood with a need or anyone who is in OEC's 7-county service area and has a need that can be filled by the Operation Roundup Board, go to okcoop.org/ORU to submit an application.
Another thing we'd like to talk about today is what sets OEC Fiber apart, and that is our subscriber support team. They are literally across the hall from this studio. They are people that work and live right here in Norman. So when you call in, you're actually talking to somebody right here that is in our community. And they're focused on finding better ways to support our subscribers, just keeping that service experience at the top-notch level. So if you want to learn more about OEC Fiber, go to www.oecfiber.com or give us a call at 405-217-6868.
And last but not least, we know we work in a very complex industry, as we're going to hear about more today from behind the scenes. But really, the electric industry as a whole, we know, is very complex when it comes to billing and fuel charges and fuel generation and transmission and all of those topics. We actually have a library of videos on our YouTube channel that you are welcome to go watch at any time to learn more about those. Distributed generation being one, service availability charge on your bill, the power cost adjustment, what goes into all of that, and more. So go to our YouTube channel and check them out.
All right, so today we have the VP of Operations, Clint Mobley, and the Manager of Maintenance, Bobby Herring. How many years you guys got in now, Mobley? You're pushing 20-something?
I'm 20.
20. Bobby,
Yep.
You're at?
I'm 18 at OEC, and I was at another utility for about 6 or 7. So
Okay. Awesome. A lot of experience sitting at that couch over there. So we're going to get into some questions. We're going to ask them just kind of what they do in preparation. So if we have a major storm approaching, what do your teams do leading up to that event to prepare for it?
Depends on the event. Depends on the storm that's coming. Yeah. Normal lightning storm, that's preparation we do every day. When you get into some colder weather snaps, there's some preparation on our end that goes into that. And Bobby can really touch on that. That's his world. That's what he lives in.
well, it's not just what we do as far as on the grid per se. There's a ton that goes into that. I can start with logistics, our warehouse team, prepping for different materials, excess materials for storm damage. Our fleet, those guys getting all the trucks ready to go for the extreme cold weathers, especially. Then our engineering team, we have models that we can run to look at different potential capacity issues in different areas. The control room, once those models have been ran, they do a lot of load shifting, if you will, so we can move load around throughout the system. For some areas of the system are summer peaking, some of them are winter peaking, and we were able to utilize the capacity in different areas and kind of push that around. That way we can kind of keep the lights on for everybody.
And Clint, you touched on lightning storm, which we get a lot of those, and we prepare for those year-round. Can you explain a little bit about what we do for those?
So just fuse coordination, our system hardening efforts. We go through, it's a systematic approach where we start on this part of that feeder and we work it to the end. And what you do there is you're changing out old equipment, mostly polymer equipment, bells, lightning arresters are bringing up to date, and fuse coordination. And fuse coordination is huge. We did not have that when we were in the field.
What is fuse coordination?
That's just the way the line feeds, right? It flows like water. So each point, you kind of neck it down, neck it up as it's needed, and those points coordinate with one another.
So a lot more control than we used to have.
Yes, seems like it. And it's really helped with the lightning. When we first started, we told ourselves 14.4 is just susceptible to lightning. And through the efforts of engineering and some of the stuff on their end and the efforts of us in the field, changing those things out to what they need to be, it's been phenomenal.
So
And the introduction of all the multi-shot devices as well, that's part of that coordination.
So I feel like we work in this industry, so all this lingo is pretty normal for us. And you know, as an old lineman, so I know what you're talking about. I kind of want to take this step back to kind of describe. He said feeder. People may not understand what a feeder is. So we have our system. We have substation, right? That's where the transmission line comes in. From there, there's usually 4 feeders out of those substations that go along your main roads, your key areas, and then they kind of go down from there into single phase line. A lot of times, that's what feeds your houses or your additions. So each where that line taps off, sometimes there's fusing in those lines. That's basically like it's a switch, if you will. So if something happens, that switch can open up. And so he's talking about fuse coordination. It's basically the switches behind our system that helps minimize major outages. Or
A lot of the times I like to explain it like a breaker box in your house.
yeah, absolutely.
So I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
You got a main breaker, which could be your substation, and each of your sub breakers, or in the sub panel. Those would be breakers like going, say, one to your living room or the kitchen or something like that. That's going to be a tap off that main breaker. So the grid's designed very similar.
Yeah, I figure let's break this down. You know, we can get lost in this lingo all day,
For
but
sure.
I want the average person to understand it. So.
Yep.
Can you share a recent example, a specific action you've taken before a storm? Like, say, this winter snap we just had. Was there preparation? I know I talked to you guys before it hit, and y'all were talking about going around and switching capacity from different substations, which capacity is the amount of electric that substation can handle, right?
Correct.
And so but can you talk about what y'all do for that one, what y'all did?
Well, that's a prime example right there. I got with our engineering team. They have models on the computer that they can pull up time of use with the temperatures from historical events. They can even add in percentage of growth that you can forecast on that. So they'll run these numbers, and that tells us any areas, whether it be the feeder, the protection devices, the conductor, that's going to be overloaded or potentially overloaded. And then we can shift load to try to mitigate that as much as possible. That's a big thing that we do, and we've learned that over the years. We've done that in the moment before, trying to keep stuff from go off. We try to be a lot more proactive now through experience.
Yeah,
Trial by fire.
we already have to be out in terrible conditions
Yeah.
at times, and if
So
we can avoid that,
Yeah, we try to minimize the time that our guys spend out there if we can.
Right.
So we'll usually do that a day in advance. Try to get all that load moved around and shifted, and then we can kind of monitor it from there.
What are the biggest challenges our system faces during extreme weather, whether that's extreme cold like we just had, whether it's extreme heat in the summer? What are some big challenges?
Heat's definitely harder on our system than cold because transformers are wire and oil, and electricity produces heat. So in winter, that heat dissipates a lot more. You've actually got a little more. You can push those limits a little more on that equipment in extreme cold. The extreme heat, that's usually the issue. So you was talking about preparation. That's something else that operations and engineering has done in the last few years. We'll run models not only on that, but we'll run models on individual transformers throughout the system. Anything that peaks in the winter or summer that's critically loaded, we'll go up to upgrade those transformers in advance. That way we're not changing those in the inclement weather.
Proactive, not
Smart.
retroactive.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. So we're talking about, you'd mentioned system hardening earlier. So system hardening, I'll let you describe that and kind of, what will the member experience be and how is system hardening maybe change their experience? What does system hardening do? What does it minimize?
it's a way for us to get in front of controllable outages. What we see is controllable outages, and those are faulty equipment that gets old over time. We're changing that out before it goes bad. Again, we're doing it before, and I guess the experience would be is you're not going to deal with it like you would in the past, whereas we wait for it to go bad or it goes bad because it's been out there too long.
I like that practice. That was, I think, instituted in 2017. I think our board had really put a strategic effort behind system hardening, and it's something we've been able to talk about ever since. It's still probably pretty difficult for some people to understand, but it's really just system improvement.
Yeah.
And it's really beneficial for our members. So during widespread outages, how do you prioritize which areas get restored first?
Vital infrastructure is something you look at. Hospitals, if it's a cold snap and you're having load issues, like a Winter Storm Uri type event, you're going to look at natural gas production. That's going to become a priority because that's needed not just here but everywhere. But in just say a regular large event like lightning storm, you have multiple out. You're going to hit the low hanging fruit. You're going to go to the line outage that has 300 people out. You're just going to work it
Numbers.
in order. Yeah, numbers.
Yep.
I agree with that. Critical infrastructure first, numbers next.
So I kind of step back to that system hardening. Our members ask this question. I've seen it on social media quite a bit. Can you describe what a blink is maybe to them and help them understand it's a normal part of how our system operates?
Yeah. So I referenced multi-shot devices earlier when we were talking about fuse coordination. Our substation reclosers or breakers, and we have downline reclosers or breakers as well. What those are designed to do is to clear a temporary fault. So if there's a lightning strike, if there's a squirrel that gets on a piece of equipment, if it's a fuse, that's going to be an outage, and you got to wait on one of our crews to get there to restore that outage. If it's a temporary fault, like I said, like lightning, squirrel, animal, something like that, then that device is designed to turn off, turn back on, and if the problem's clear, you're good. Now, if the problem is still existing, it's going to turn off, turn back on, then turn off and stay off. So that's where you're going to see some of those blinks.
Yeah, I know. I've been here almost 18 years myself, and I remember a lightning storm in 07, 08, you're throwing fuses all night long, right? It's terrible. Now, I mean, I've heard the guys, they might do 3 or 4 a night.
Yeah.
So we've really minimized
lightning's
those.
still going to do what it wants to
for
do.
sure, right? We can't control that, you know.
So what did you learn from the last major storm? And I don't know what the last major storm would
We had some tornadoes in 23.
Cold tornado.
A cold tornado.
We had one in East Norman. It was a February tornado. That might have been a little longer.
They're all so different.
They are.
They are. I know one thing that's really helped us over the years, we have what we call a storm spreadsheet. And it helps us track poles down, just any issues in any area. And we can reference that spreadsheet as, first of all, during the tornado, we've got to go out and ride the entire feeders out because you don't know what the damage is, what the extent is. So we've got people that go out and access the entire feeders, and they call back in with what they found, pole numbers, so on and so forth. And then that gives us the locations of where the damage is at. And then in the control room, that gives us the data we need so we know how to utilize our resources.
So when we're talking about how did a major storm change how you prepare, I want to talk about Uri. Was there something that happened in Uri that we learned from? Because we'd never had that kind of cold in Oklahoma, right? We actually had to have some rolling outages. And so did anything from that storm, did we take anything from that and learn and change? Like what did that storm change for us specifically?
I would say that is a storm that we were out shifting load in the moment.
That's
for sure.
That's the first one that's what I was referencing earlier.
It's the first and only time we've ever had to experience rolling blackouts.
Yeah. So we try to be proactive with that. That's actually where the transformer, the critical loaded transformer idea came from, because we had so many issues with capacity, whether it be at the feeder substation level or at the transformer level.
I remember from our side of it, we're sending out communications, we're on social media, and it was so odd because there were minimal linemen in the field, if any, and it wasn't one where we could say they're in your area about to get it back on or anything like that. It wasn't up to us, who was coming back on, and it was a strange time.
Yeah, that actually comes down from our GNT, which is governed by NERC and FERC, which are the government.
Well, and SPP.
Agencies.
SPP says,
yeah.
hey, they're our power pool, right? So there's
Yes.
different, generation transmission companies put power into a grid, right? SPP covers our market, and they basically say, hey, we need X amount of load off. And Western Farmers, who's our power supplier at that point, then has to go, all right, guys, we need to shut some stuff off. And in that one, I want to say they kind of just shut off off a list that we gave them, right?
Yeah, they don't have time to contact us.
Yeah.
It's quick.
It's just go, right?
It just started happening.
But
I'll never forget that because my house, the feeder it was on, was the first one that was off.
Of course.
My wife was like, "What's going on?"
And it is weird. Like she said, it's weird because we didn't have an outage, so there's no sense in us rolling a truck on an outage. It was literally just the whole feeder and stuff were being turned off by something out of our control. And
no precedent as far as here's what you tell your members. You send them an email, post on. So we were flying by the seat of our pants. I think everyone was. We learned a lot.
It was a wild time.
So
We've got more of a strategic list in place now.
We do.
Like Clint referenced earlier, some of that critical infrastructure, those feeders have been deleted off that list. And then you don't really know exactly how many. They have a certain threshold of load. So it depends on, we've got a list that they go in order, but it depends on how much load is being utilized at the time on how many they're going to shut off. And then there's a certain time frame, and then those will come back on, and then they'll drop the next list. So that way, not just one in particular area is affected.
And then going back to system hardening, the way we've kind of measured, I think, how successful this has been is through our SAIDI score. So can you explain what exactly a SAIDI score is and how it measures how good we are?
Service Availability Interruption Duration Index. So it's the average amount of time that someone is out of power. And so our score this year was 30.9.
Wow.
That's a record for us.
Wow.
It's the best we've ever had. So
What was it? Do you remember back in like 2016 or pre-system hardening what it was?
I have it on a spreadsheet somewhere.
I mean, was it over 100? Wasn't it over 100 at some point?
I want to say it was several years ago. It was over 100, but we ran in that 60 to 80 range probably for a pretty good while.
yeah.
Yeah, and that 30.9 is 30.9 minutes. That's what that is. And if you look at the national average, it's an hour and a half.
So our average outage time was 30.9. And the national average is what was that again?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
A little over an hour and a half.
That's insane. That's it's a testament to what your guys have done for years. And
Yes,
just
and
made our
that's
system.
them responding to the outages. So you got to take that into effect too. That's how they get rolling and get the lights on.
Now, one thing that we do at OEC that I think is a little bit unique compared to some other utilities is our service territory is split up into districts. And our district linemen actually live in their districts, and their truck is sitting in their driveway. So when there's an outage in their area, it's just a matter of them answering the phone, putting their boots on, and going and getting their truck. So that really cuts down
for sure.
on that response time. They don't have to drive from their house to our yard,
Right.
get a vehicle, and then drive back to the outage.
And even to touch on that, the way our service structure is set up, most companies are small fleet, one person. If it's more than hitting a fuse, they have to call in a crew to make those repairs. We run 2 people to a truck. We run big trucks. And short of a primary underground short that you can't backfeed or a broke pole, they can fix it.
Right. They carry so much stuff on those trucks.
Yes.
Let them carry cross arms to change out. They change insulators. I mean,
Transformers.
That pole could burn up at the top, and they can cut that off, reframe it, and put a new with 2 guys, right? Because there's different rules as far as having 2 guys in a truck as to what you can do.
That's why we run with
us
2.
running 2-guy crews really allows them to just handle it.
We're very unique in how we run our maintenance.
Yeah.
One man can only work on 600 volts and below. So that's basically just secondary work. So if it was a problem on the main line, one man can't work on that. So that's why we elected to do 2.
It's fantastic. I love how our system.
I know.
I mean, I'm an old lineman, so I love to tout
You're
what we
nerding
do.
out over there.
I am nerded out on it a little bit over here.
I've got a question. So we have a really cool control room, and no one gets to see it. I mean, that's not something we really publicize. Describe the function of what our control room operators do, especially during a large outage.
He's lived it more than I have.
That is, I like to say that's kind of the nucleus. There's a lot that runs through there, but in storm situations, so our entire grid is controlled by a system we call SCADA. They monitor all our substations, our downline devices, all the amperages running through them, voltage, the whole thing. And we've obviously, there's there's enough to where we have to have alarms set up on it. But if anything pops up, then they can kind of control and shift load and stuff like that. So
It's amazing. I always hear that the further we go with technology, the more it's during like we've been around for a lot of storms, and how it's just all hands on deck. Everyone, you're printing maps, you're laying them on conference room tables, and everyone's huddled around. And now it's a few people are in the control room, and it's like a video game almost.
it's similar.
Switching and
We've got a room adjacent that has a glass wall, and that's where we meet. We call it the war room, and it's got maps and TV screens and grease boards and just a bunch of different things, tools that we utilize to try to help organize the chaos, if you will.
So I want to now ask a little bit more of a fun question, right? Our system's awesome. You guys do good work and it's in good shape. But I want to ask, what's maybe the craziest outage you've gone on, or maybe the craziest storm experience story you can have that's, safe for the podcast, of course. But what do you got? What do you got?
Linemen are on there. Is that what you're trying to say?
Just a little bit, right?
Like I would say, troubleshooting underground can be tough in nice weather. It's just depending on who put it in, how they tagged it, how they marked it. You're going off of those things. You can't see it; it's under the ground. Probably the biggest head scratcher I've ever been on was in Ramblin' Oaks, station over here on the west side of Norman. It's humbled a lot of linemen, and I will say before we ever set foot out of the truck, it was me and Jeff Daniels on that one. We had a blown up jumper, a blown up cutout, and 2 bad pads.
Before you ever step foot
before we ever did a thing. And
where do you start there?
Took us a little while. It was more than just me and him there by the time it got cleaned up.
Well, and typically when you have an outage, it's one problem.
Right.
From time to time, you have a couple.
To have
Very
4 or 5.
seldom.
Yes.
I don't think he was living right at that time in his life.
Something was wrong.
Something was off at the world.
But I mean, and that happened several years ago. That was 2015. And I can still talk through every step of that and how it just stuck with us.
bizarre.
I actually remember that.
How about you, Bobby?
I'm going to dig deep and go back to an ice storm, and this is more of an experience than just an individual outage. Our G&T lost, I believe, 18 miles of transmission line in an ice storm that fed one of our substations. And for the first time in my career, we backfed a substation with multiple semi-mounted generators.
Talking about total sub.
That's 100% what I'm
that.
talking about. So just to kind of paint the picture, typically the transmission voltage comes in at 138,000 volts, and then it's transformed down to 14,000 volts on the line, and then our transformers, like at your house, converts it from 14,000 volts to a more usable 12240, right? So reverse all that is basically what we did.
It was interesting. I was a part of that too.
They brought in, I want to say, 5 or 6 had generators big enough to be pulled by a semi, hooked them up, banked them all together, and then they had transformers set out front. We ran generator to the secondary side of their transformers, which I believe was 4160 voltage, and then it came out 14.4, and then we had to run a conglomeration of cables over to our feeders to get the line heated back up, because that was otherwise that substation would have been out for about a week.
Wow.
I mean, let's talk about these generators. I mean, your household generator runs, it can actually, most generators don't run your whole house, right? So now how many accounts are on this total sub? Thousands?
Yeah, I'd probably say 2,500-ish ballpark.
2,500 homes and businesses that they're not having to feed off for. And just that picture alone is crazy, right?
No, it was
a wild time.
It was special.
That was the early ice storm of October 2020, I believe.
It was.
When leaves still were on trees, and so that ice just wrecked. Wrecked everything.
What ended up happening, I believe that they'd lost a structure and some line was low over a highway or a railroad track.
I remember.
And a train caught it and dominoed several structures.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's not a sight you want to see when you turn the corner.
right.
Oh man.
Yeah, I remember going north of the town there that it goes by, and you just used to seeing these transmission structures that just cross that field, and they're nothing to see.
Yeah.
It's all
Flat.
Yeah, they're
it's
not small
flat.
structures. Yeah.
No, they're giant. Yeah, I want to talk about a fun storm story for me. So Clint Mobley used to be my foreman, and I remember this is we have processes now. We do things a little differently, but back in the day, it was you get called on a tornado or something, you just load up and go. Right? You don't think, you just kind of go. And we're crossing down the spur, and we're in a bucket truck that weighs 20,000 pounds, and this thing is blowing left and right all over the road, and we're like, I don't know that we need to be in this, bud. So we turn around and head back to Riverwind, and sure enough, a tornado had gone through basically right where we were at, because it happened in Chickasha. So we're in Norman. We basically went in the path of the tornado to try to get to those outages in Chickasha, and now that dispatch room they're watching the weather, they're watching storms, and going, hey, let's not go that route.
Yes.
But it was humbling, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and to plug our crew tracker that we have now that monitors the crews and stuff, if your GPS location is in a tornado warning, that icon lights up. And our
Let's
control
talk
room
about
can
this.
see
Let's
that.
talk about that. What is that you called it?
It's called Crew Tracker.
Crew tracker.
Jordan
okay.
Wayne developed it, and it's going to be a phenomenal tool for us to track how long
Absolutely.
people have been out, if they're getting too tired. Like when you're in there and it's that busy, you get busy.
Yeah.
And it's not the easiest thing. We used to keep track of it on a grease board. And now we have this tool that is right there. It's phenomenal. Shows what kind of weather conditions are in, the temperature, the wind chill.
It gives
If
their
it's
map
raining.
location,
Yep.
and even if it's normal day stuff, you can look up there, and if it's raining where they're at, there'll be raining in the background.
It also tells you how many hours they've worked,
Yep.
so you know if they're fatigued. And
Yep,
man,
absolutely.
let's talk about a change.
I know. It's awesome.
Got to be one of the first things in the industry, or at least co-op world, I would think. Have you heard of other co-ops that are doing anything that advanced?
So I think Stillwater has something very similar
Okay.
up there. Yep. I think that's where they got the idea. I think Spears saw it up there.
Okay.
That's really cool.
I do have one more question. Going back to the system hardening one last time,
Hey, it's
because
more.
it's fascinating. So 2017, is that when we started our fiber build out? And that 2018, 17,
2018,
somewhere in there. Forced us to change out a lot of poles, if not all of our poles. Describe that process, how that attributes to our system hardening, our reliability efforts.
The pole changes?
Just adding fiber in general,
adding
because
fiber, did adding fiber make our
connection
system
and-
better, and why?
Well, the poles are the backbone of the system at the end of the day. I mean, they're what holds it up. And the pole changes that happened it's phenomenal.
you had to put stronger poles up
Yes.
to hold more.
It's great. It's great. High winds used to cause us a lot of problems. Not so
Yeah,
much.
because we went from a standard pole was a class 4, which poles had different classes and sizes, right? The higher the number, the skinnier they are. So we usually went with the class 4, and with fiber, if I'm telling this wrong, let me know. But we went kind of with the main class 2.
Class
what
2
we
is our
put in
standard-
pretty much
Standard
everything in now.
mainline section pole.
Those things, for reference, I've dug holes for class 2s that I could probably fit in. So some of these poles are pretty fat at the
Yes.
bottom.
Yes. Not all
And I'm
class
not a
twos are
little
built
man,
the same.
so
Yeah.
they're not all the same, but just a beefier pole, right? They're stronger. And we've also now switched from wood cross arms to fiberglass cross arms. I see.
correct.
That's pretty standard now, right?
Yep.
That is standard. Yes.
That's awesome.
How will that benefit members?
So wooden cross arms, if a phase were to come untied from an insulator, it can lay on that arm and track down and cause a pole fire, causes an outage. Fiberglass arms, in theory, that shouldn't happen.
Better insulation,
And they're braceless.
and less maintenance.
Yep,
Okay.
less maintenance.
It's talking about bringing fiber in, not only kind of the make-ready build-out, getting the grid more resilient. A couple things that fiber has brought us is our communications. I referenced SCADA earlier. All of our substations and downline reclosures now we have communications with. So the big boards that you were talking about in the control room, all those are powered with OEC fiber. And one of the coolest projects that I've been a part of so far is our ACES, which is basically a self-healing grid. And that's a conglomeration of different reclosures that talk to each other that can isolate problems and backfeed line without anybody being involved.
In milliseconds.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It can recognize a fault isolate that fault, and then backfeed it from different areas.
Yeah, they're just constantly in communication, right? So it's going, hey, this tripped off, but I know this feeder's got enough capacity to hold it, and it's doing all that.
And it's smart enough to know if it won't hold it, depending on the conditions. It won't.
It won't overload itself. It won't. So if it's super hot outside or super cold, it may just pick up half of what it normally would. So
That's some crazy.
it's pretty neat.
It's pretty neat. Yeah,
What will they think of next?
Right. If what I can tell you this, we'll be on the leading edge of it. Whatever it is, sounds like we're pretty on top of things right there.
Yep. It's. I mean, it does the same thing that our linemen do. It's just no one has to be there to do it. Yeah.
And it's definitely not. I know initially when we first were building that project, it's like, well, it's going to take our jobs, and it's not that at all. You still have to have somebody to fix the problem.
Yes.
Right.
All this is doing is isolating the problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
And trying to keep the power on. Keep those outages minimized as much as possible.
Anything else you would add? Any other interesting notes from your side?
No, I mean, we're hard at it every day. That's what we
You
do.
are.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you want to sum up what we do in one word, it's respond. We respond to what's needed. The weather, whatever it is, that's what we do.
I always like to say the harder we work during the day, the less we have to work at night, and that's kind of what we try to live by. So,
Anything else? Any other questions, former linemen?
No, I mean, I could have a conversation with these guys all day. These are my buddies. So
I won't take that personally. But before we take off, we have a couple more things to share with you. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining.
So we always plug the Dan's How Do I videos. So if you haven't gone on and checked those out on our YouTube channel or our social media has posted them. So basically they're just real quick videos on little things that you may or may not know how to do in your home, right? Change an air filter. Maybe you call an HVAC person to do that sort of stuff. Recaulk a window. Maybe you think you need windows and really it's just that seal on the windows aren't good. So just little videos to kind of show you little things you can do to help save energy at your house. Those are going to be found on our YouTube page, which you should like and subscribe to so you get notified when those videos come out, and or on our social media pages.
And you get to see a dancing bobblehead.
Yeah, of me.
Of you.
Yeah.
So if that's incentive. We do also like to highlight a community event that we are supporting this month, and we are huge supporters of all the communities across our 7-county service area. This time we are highlighting the Norman High Band Association's Big Band Dinner Dance. It's a fundraiser. It's going to be held Saturday, March 7th. So if you like to support Norman High Band Association, check it out.
Thank you all for joining us today on our episode of the podcast. We'll be back March 17th to take a line-by-line look at an OEC and OEC fiber bills from the experts and just see what every charge means. So see you next time.